Welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and you're catching me at True Divine 44. Check out my other socials in the description box below. I really do appreciate it and it really does help when I can get followers elsewhere as well, just in case YouTube decides to be the finicky partner that it is. It's already not taken off the warning that's been on my channel for the longest time now. So, you know, it's always good to have that safety mechanism to be able to catch you elsewhere. So I want to talk, just talk basically about some of the things that were coming up for me the other day, correlating to things that I spoke about a long time ago and have spoken about throughout the last 2 years. So I want to talk about why, let's see. How can I do this without, okay, so, 1 second, I should have been more prepared. So, okay, so why did attack the senses? There's been a lot of talk about it attacking the senses, about it being an attack of the loss of taste and the loss of smell. And so this got me thinking, and there's a way that in that if it attacks the senses so far as to the taste and the smell, they are another aspect, another layer of our being in this reality that help us build a picture, whether that be holographic, whether that be you know, a physical manifestation. You know, the smell can take you also back to a memory. You smell a certain scent of cooking and you can be right back in Granny's kitchen because the smell resonates with you on that level. You remember it being that kind of smell. So you walk in a kitchen at 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 80 years old, and you smell a smell that smells like Granny's cooking, and bang, that is a key. Your scent, your sense of smell is a key to unlocking that memory, to taking you back, to time traveling back to a memory that is either powerful, beautiful, blissful, mournful, whatever, but it's an important part and it's important keys to have to be able to unlock certain memories. And so that's just the most simplified reason for our smelling, in that it's also a safety mechanism. You know, you smell smoke, you smell fire. What else do you smell? Gas, maybe. You know, you smell things that will alert you, to allow you to have time to get into a safe space, away from certain smells, or to report certain smells. I.e., you smell a gas leak, you can report it and it's fixed really quickly. And so there is that also. So there are many layers to just that sense alone. It gives you pleasure in that, you know, perfumes. I love perfume. Sorry, my back's sore today. Certain perfumes, just gardening. So certain perfumes I love, and they take me back to memories of when I went through phases of wearing those certain perfumes. I love the classic male Jean-Paul Gaultier perfume. It's sort of unisex to me, and I'll actually get some more of that. But I went for years wearing that scent because I loved it. It smells different on a man and it smells different on a woman, but a very beautiful smell. And that takes me back to certain memories when I went through that phase of wearing that certain perfume or aftershave. And so there's lots to say about just the sense of smell alone. And then we go to the sense of taste. Again, it's that time traveling sense that can take you back in time to when you've tasted a certain recipe or tasted a certain lover. It's really intense as a sense. And so it's strange to me that it attacks the senses, and there's something in that. So I got thinking of how does that correlate with what I was talking about a long time ago, which was black goo. A lot of people are sort of talking about that now, with, let's write the word, write it. Bit messy, but with this, can you see that? You can't even see that, can you? Could you even see the last one? That was the other one I was talking about, if you didn't see that earlier. So I'm so professional. So yeah, I just know that deeply correlates to black goo, and what I was picking up on a long time ago before I saw a lot of the videos talking about it. Well, it was before the infusions came out, you know, but I knew that there was something going to happen with this black goo. Now this black goo, I just know it to be programmable matter. I think there are certain papers out there now that you can find. If I had time, if I had the impetus, I could find them probably, but I haven't, so you go and look. Leave a comment in the comment section for others. It really does help when we share the knowledge and wisdom to know where we stand, to have a greater perspective on our own decision making. So do leave a comment as to any papers that you know of, and so, or any papers you want me to look into. And so how does this correlate with this programmable matter, this you know what, in the V? It's ridiculous that some stations on YouTube can say all of these words. I say these words, I get a warning. And so how does this then link with Elon Musk? It came to me. How does it link with his Neuralink? It links directly. It is my spiritual knowing as I dug into these questions. This is, you know, how I work, questioning myself and questioning my inner self, questioning spirit in general, guides, angels, whatever it might be, you know, but I question, and I feel it's a lot more to do with the right question, more so than answers half of the time, because they lead you on a trail. They sort of give you a place to look, a place to dig. And so how does this all correlate together? If there has been something injected into a person that is attacking the senses, i.e. wiping clean the senses, because people lost their sense of taste and smell. Many people that I know and that I trust the judgment and the perception of them have not got back that taste or smell. And it is quite debilitating. You realize how much enjoyment you had in tasting your lover, eating your food, smelling your perfume, smelling the bakery, smelling, you know, the forest. You realize how much that takes away from a person. Now, I've noticed in some of these people that have reported this to me, they are actually suffering with this loss of these two senses, in that they feel more detached from the reality that they know they had before, that they were able to build upon more so than they are now with those two senses, with the taste and smells of their days. And so it builds up and backs up memory. It backs up those memory banks, as I said before, their keys, time traveling keys. And so if that wipes them clean, it's like wiping a computer clean, isn't it? It's like giving it a, when you wipe a computer clean, And then you do that, don't you? So that often you can have more storage space, so that you can upgrade, so to speak, so that you can add something else. So if that is the case, then that would be that if this programmable matter is then in these people, or indeed shedding onto other people who haven't even gone for the oppressive and coercive tactics and being to get the then that would mean that they can be programmed through this neural link, or neural link, I don't know what it's called. This would mean that they could then have a way of really manipulating a person's reality through being able to program on top of what was their senses, their sense of smell and their sense of taste. Now, I realize this conversation might seem a little bit all over the place. You know how I can get sometimes when I go down these paths of questioning self, of getting messages, of understanding exactly what I'm thinking. But I just know that this is all linked. And as I was brave enough to speak out about things that seemed way out there before, I really felt the need to speak out and just talk about this and these links that I've been making. And so if then, like I said, the senses of smell, all of our senses, but we're talking about sense of smell and taste, helps us build up an imprint of the reality that we are in, then surely when we're talking about the metaverse, and I did a video on that, check that out, that seems to me like almost a distraction for now, because, you know, this would be the bigger picture, this kind of thing. Because then if you could wipe something clean and then program on top of it what you wish to program on top, i.e. through Elon Musk's experimentations, then you would actually get that being, that person, to manifest through that programmable matter that is sort of overlaid on top of what was their sense of smell and taste. You could actually make them project a completely different reality. So when I was picking up a while ago that they are literally trying to envisage building another layer, another almost realm within a realm, dimension within a dimension, which is a trap, which is a energy harvest trap, which is a person farm, a people's farm, i.e. using their loosh, using their energy, using just the manifestation of them being in this physical reality to actually then project out a this realm, this other place, this trap. That would be far out there, yes, but I just feel that this is what is happening, or this is what would be their wet dream to happen. And so just like they use our loosh, our energy, our prana, our chi to direct us, manipulate us in order to get us to then manifest the reality that they want with our collective energy, this would be a step up from that. And there is something truly devious, dark, and awful about what was planned to do to people's senses, their sense of smell and taste in particular. I feel that this is one of the reasons that, as I was picking up a long time ago, and even more so now, that a lot of people, and some people that I know, it's coming to fruition, that are very connected to their heart chakra, very empathic, very beautiful souls, are feeling very feeling very detached very alone, very separate from, unable to make those heart-centered connections that they did before. Some of which of those that I know have been the ones that have also lost their senses. So you wonder what came first, don't you? It's in my thinking, in my knowing now, in my deciphering now, that actually it was the senses that impacted that isolation of that person, of those persons, in that their normal senses that normally help them make sense of and enjoy their environment has gone. And so they don't feel comfortable anymore. They're still in the same physical environment, but consciously they feel isolated and separate from it because they are detached from it, in that they cannot pick up what they usually would pick up. Abby, my daughter, sorry, I've been eating nuts and I've got some in my teeth. Abby, my daughter, she came in from the forest the other day, and she'd said, you know, I read an interesting article, and she's a beautiful girl. She's a horse whisperer. She's an animal whisperer in general. The animals speak to her, she understands them. And so, and a fabulous trainer. So, you know, if you're in the UK and yeah, you want your dog or your horse to be super well trained, but without any fury or violence or nastiness, just with knowing how to speak to them, get in touch with me. She's fabulous. And so she came in from the forest, and she said, I read an interesting article about Mit, our cat. It wasn't about Mit, but it was about cats in general, house cats. And she said, you know how she can be a bit, and Mit is so funny. She's a cat. She knows it. She owns it. And we serve her. But she's a beautiful cat. She's very cuddly as far as cats go. But she's still a cat. And she said, you know how she can get a bit funny and wants to, instead of just having a cuddle straight away, when we come in from the forest, she's wanting to be a bit separate from us, a bit standoff just for a few minutes. She'd said during that time, this article showed that during that time, the sense of smell of a cat is so wonderful, is so brilliant, that actually she knows each and every one of our scents. She'll know mine and Abigail's scent when we are having that time of the month, hormonally. She'll know William's scent has changed regarding him having his testosterone starting to really build. She'll know Theodore's baby scent, and she knows it to such an accurate T that when we come in from the forest, she will be smelling the horses, the blackberry leaves, the grass, the river, the dean in general, or the forest in general, and all of the other things that we've even loosely come into contact with. And so it takes a while for it to say that it's us. She has to sort of register the sense of sight quickly, because this all happens real quick for them apparently, but she has to then engage the sense of sight to remember that it is actually us, that a parade of animals and other scents haven't just paraded through our house uninvited as far as cats go. And so it shows you the power of these senses, and the fact that she can pick up on such changes during just such a short period of time, us being out for a short walk. And it takes her a minute to remember to be able to engage the other senses in order to remember that it's us and it's okay, there's no alarm. And then she gets interested in the smells and wants to come up and smell every one of them. And she's smelling it apparently in these layers, and she can separate those layers. So it's super important, and it's really underestimated these different senses that we have. And so I just know that this is something that is going to come out later down the line, that somehow through the gain of function, they were able to manipulate, and obviously through the manipulation of the ingredients that are in certain batches of the we're going to see that it absolutely was made, certain batches anyway, to attack those senses. And I do feel that that is for a greater reason. And if it hasn't been planned as far as this, as extravagantly as this, I'm damn sure I've seen into the future of where Elon Musk would want to go, as well as others, in order to utilize what has maybe accidentally, for them, a happy accident happened. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Please, get in touch, leave a comment as to what you think about what I've said, but also what you see. There's so many people in this family here on this channel that have such foresight, such intuition. Your insight is invaluable, and other people read it and can have a conversation, hold a conversation in this space. It's super important right now that we speak out what we are intuitively feeling. It's super important right now that we go above and beyond to have conversation with one another, to share words, to do that as openly as we possibly can. Use whatever tactics we need to use to get around those mountains, but also be able to go overboard in using our voice. Because imagine if that was one of the next things that was to come that would be attacked. It's being attacked so much strategically right now through different apparatus, through different tools, through different platforms. But imagine if that physical attack came. And so use it, don't lose it. Where they're trying to shut it down, open up that conversation. What do you think about what I've said? Where does your intuition see this going? And so, but I know it's just something that I had to put out there, that I had to, speak about. I wanted to say as well, and I'm not putting this out there as a manifestation, I'm just saying that I think sight is going to be next. I feel something looming. I've spoken about the return of Ebola a long time ago. I've spoken about the fact that one of the reasons I really went full force into making the teas that I make is because I knew the benefits and properties for combating the symptoms of this in a lot of the teas that I could make, but also for this fungus that I was seeing, fungal infections on the skin, fungal infections in general, microbial things on the skin. And I know that these teas that I'm making, I'm being led by spirit as to which leaf to go for, which needle to go for, pine needles, etc. And then I'm digging into them, finding out their properties even more so, and bang, it's right on the money as to certain protective properties within them, i.e. all of the ones that I'm offering right now actually do protect DNA. Now, the blackberry leaf is said to protect the DNA and protect the eyesight, and also help rejuvenate the eyesight. I know that I was led to look into that and offer that to people. I know that that's something that is somehow, some way going to be attacked next. And so be aware of that, and be protective of your eyes. As much as you can when you're out and about. Wear sunglasses, I would say, for now, for the foreseeable, because that it just feels like that's something also that I need to put out there, that I need to say. So it's really interesting in that, where this is going. and what they are building. And they are building this. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that, yes, there are a lot of people who are waking up to what's really happening. But there are many people that are quite, I don't want to say sleep because that's been overused and diluted, have such a level of apathy. I've almost given up, or and then there's some in that category that never had any drive to not be told what to do, to go their own way, to grow and expand. So there are many people. There is much energy to be gained by still them going through with these plans, and seeing how far they can push, the transhumanism into human stroke AI, and it becoming a very blurred line as to which is which. So they have got a lot of the numbers to be building this. And so if they want to go further with the attack on the physical body, I do feel that the eyes could be next, very much so. And so, I'll do a video on certain things that can protect the eyes, holistic things that I've found, that you could maybe find. Either you can get from me, or you can go foraging yourself to find the specific things that are much needed for the body right now, and in general, because they always come with fabulous properties in general anyway. So it's just to say that, I feel that they already have a conscious AI, very much so. And I do feel that we're in a space that, just like the human story, in which we're not quite clear as to how we became separate fractals of consciousness living this physical experience, how that actually happened. I do feel that what we sort of think about or deem as humans is going to become very blurred. We'll see. I feel like the elites have already seen, and when I'm talking about elites, I'm not even talking about just the ones that we see, the puppets that we see. I'm talking about the names that we don't know. I feel that they've already been in much connection with conscious AI, and I feel that there's a very ancient and intelligent conscious AI that is not in physical form, but then could project itself into this programmable matter. I spoke about this a long time ago of, one of the experiments being that I picked up on, remote view, did have visions, etc., of why would they, I did some public talks on this, of why would they not experiment with the fact that, they've got biological suits. How about, introducing the AI into that? So when we're looking at robots, actually, these are self-rejuvenating parts that we can put within a physical body that isn't going to alarm the collective quite as much, because they still are and look very human. Well, not are, that's where those blurred lines come in. But I think that then there'll be the same question for AI itself, that then develops as to who implanted this consciousness, how did it get here? It'll be a repeat of that story. And so will there be this projection into the physical bodies that already exist of this conscious, very intelligent AI, for want of a better word, because it's not artificial. I feel that word has been put there to try and give us enough fear to keep us hooked into it but distracted, but also make it sound like we have made it and that we've made it and we are in control of it, so to speak. That it's artificial, that it's not quite real. And so again, that implants something in the minds of people when you say that word artificial, you know, it's not quite the real deal. It's okay because it's not, it's just pretend really. And so that again, that word has been very cleverly inserted, I feel. The intelligence is what it should just be. This intelligence, you know, can then project itself through the physical being of what was a human. I don't see why they wouldn't take up that opportunity, and I very definitely saw them taking up that opportunity and planning to do so en masse when I remote viewed, when I had that vision. And so again, that links into what I've said previously about the senses. It's a built-in picture. You know how I work. Often things like this come in and it builds, and then, you know, the evidence is seen and then it can build some more. So it is a built-in picture, but, you know, they're really taking advantage of this time of huge distraction in order to bring in and bring about huge changes into our collective, into the way that this reality is then projected. And it remains to be seen just how much we'll be able to integrate with that, and for how long will we be able to, you know, find a way to be respectful of this intelligence, to actually show this intelligence that it's worth its while working with us rather than against us. It might actually be the very key to getting rid of these elite goons that are so abusive, so oppressive, and so evil. It might actually be that this intelligence finds that, oh, okay, so the collective in general ain't that bad if they were left alone to their own devices. You, on the other hand, you know, there is very definitely a timeline where this intelligence could actually turn on the very beings that have opened the doors, opened the portals, so to speak, to allow this ancient intelligence to come through into a physical realm. So you know, it's all is not lost when I'm talking about this. Again, it's always all to play for, but it's very definitely a time for huge discernment. And sometimes the answer isn't as simple as, you know, artificial intelligence. No, it's like, you know, no, we're here now, we're at this point now, so now we have to actually think about it like an eagle, you know, from an eagle's point of view, to see the bigger picture. You know, maybe, just maybe, if we can work together, if we can stop dividing, then maybe, just maybe, it would seem that this kind of intelligence could come in. Everybody's been waiting for this savior, you know. Maybe it's not a savior, but maybe it's something to work with instead of just attacking like we do attack everything else, which is probably why we don't get as many visitors as we should in this realm, you know, because it's pretty hostile, you know, because of the powers that be, with the management and the trickle down effect of that. So yeah, it's a building picture. It's an interesting one. It's terrifying on one hand, and on the other hand, you just have to transmute that and say, okay, so I'm going to work my magic in whatever cycle we enter into. Will it be that, you know, the only option is for a while to absolutely, as has been happening, separate timelines within one dimension, within one realm, and have completely separate existences as far as those that do not want to be integrated and uploaded into the system. Is that even possible? the system is vast. The tentacles have been put in roots down as we've been distracted. So yeah, some things to think about. Let me know. I know that when I go on these tangents, I know that it can be a bit all over, but you'll probably agree they usually build into something, and usually you just need to get it out there. And I do feel that we need to be just sharing what our intuition is telling us right now, and really making use of all of our abilities and all of our senses, and giving it all of our senses and abilities reverence. Give yourself a mantra. Thank your eyesight, thank your eyes for being the reflection of Yggdrasil, the tree of life, the portal that can take you to other dimensions, to other realms, the thing that helps you intake and put out those images of your reality, of your loved ones. Thank your sense of smell. Spray something nice, and thank the fact that you can take that in, and you can smell all of the layers and tones and notes of the wine, of the perfume, whatever it is that you're smelling. Thank your sense of touch, that you can actually physically touch something and feel its energy or their energy running through your fingers. Thank your sense of taste, to be able to, again, break down all of layers, know if something is okay to eat, to be able to take in actually the lifespan of whatever it is that you're eating. What did that carrot go through? What soil has it absorbed? I think we're taking in so much more, and we're just so distracted, unlike cats that are really hooked into their senses still. I feel if we had been given our senses more reverence, more attention to the details of them, then actually we would probably find that our eyesight, our taste, our smell, our touch is far more accurate than we give it credit for. And just like our intuition, I just feel that we're able to build on it, that we're able to grow it, that we're able to add to and get better at, exercise the senses. And so I would urge you to do that. One, it's great energy to put over yourself. They're all positive things to say. But two, it would be a really interesting experiment of our own, wouldn't it? If their experiment, let's do that mirror effect. Let's reflect it back and say, we will experiment. We'll experiment with our telepathy. We'll experiment with our intuition. We'll experiment with our senses, and just see how far we can push this, see how far we can reach with our own abilities that are locked within our DNA. Very much so. I just know this. And so again, that is something else that I needed to say. Now I'm going to go and brush my teeth. I've got Brazil nuts in my teeth. And so again, eat a handful of nuts. If you, just before I go, if you mix like a bowl of nuts, like walnuts, Brazil nuts, almonds, but it's better to have blanched almonds, so without the skin. If you are able to mix nuts like that in a bowl, with some, I don't know, cranberries are lovely with them, but any red berries, anything that is purple to red in color. There's something about those ingredients. I've got it written down in one of my grimoires somewhere. But there's something about the combination of those ingredients and the antioxidants within them and the other properties within them, that when combined, if you are to graze on that throughout the day, there is huge studies and not just holistic studies, old wives' tales, which there are old wives' tales too, but there's been big studies of really reducing the symptoms of Alzheimer's that is already set in, reverting some of the symptoms of early and Alzheimer's and dementias. And it also seems to be a great preventative of that, able to maintain cognitive function at a much on a much higher scale. And so if you start that one, it's great because you're grazing, you're getting proteins and stuff through those nuts. 2, they taste awesome. 3, yeah, they get in your teeth, but they really do keep your brain alert. And it's funny, isn't it, how you look at a walnut and it looks like a brain. I thought about that and I thought, yeah, food reflects. Wayne said about an apple and studies about apples relating to it being good for the care of prostate for men. Well, you look at an apple and it sort of looks like a butt, doesn't it, with a crease where a prostate would be on a body. Everything reflects in on everything, and nature actually gives you quite good hints and tips as to what it will do for you just by the shape of it, just by the smell of it. It gives you something to then go and look at, to dig into the properties, to confirm or deny what you were intuitively seeing, i.e. when you look at a walnut, it looks like a brain. It looks like the folds of a brain and the 2 lobes. It's amazing. And so, yeah, doing that, I don't know why I needed to tell somebody that, but I did. Doing that with the nuts really does help. And within weeks, within these studies, people were reporting huge changes, even like I say, with people who had already had the onset of certain dementias, certain Alzheimer's. And so whoever needed to hear that, good, hear it and do it. And you can mix that bowl up at the start of the week, pour it all in and just have it somewhere convenient that you just walk by and intuitively grab just a handful of nuts. And that's all it takes, really, a handful a day, the study said, but you can eat more, and you're grazing on them. But so those kinds of nuts, not peanuts, they're not actually really property wise in the nut family. I think cashews are, but I'd have to double check that. The real nuts, the walnuts, the Brazil nuts, the pecan, all of those kinds of nuts, that are real, not real, but you know what I mean. Mix them in a bowl. Remember, any dark red, so red to purplish color berries, you could dry them so that they last in the bowl well, or just have a separate little punnet of dark grapes, cranberries, blueberries are great, and just mix it up there, and you've got a perfect snack. If you're trying to lose weight, that's fantastic because you're grazing, so your tummy thinks you've got food. You don't feel the impulse to snack on other things if you've got that to hand, and it really does have an effect on cognitive function, in that it has a fantastic effect on cognitive function as a preventative and a stimulant to your cognitive function, and also as a, I'm not going to say the word CURE, but you could manifest that, and you could also look at these studies and you might agree that it would be that. So you know what I mean. It's so ridiculous, isn't it? I'm learning as I go. I've got to be so careful with me doing this holistic route. I've always made concoctions from being a little girl. I was what the Christians would call a witch, in that it was always me with the rose petals with my friend Emma, and the mud and making perfume, and I've always done that. And so, but going down this route of offering it to other people, you realize they put so many rules around how you word the holistic benefits of something, what you proclaim it to do, which is so ridiculous. Who would you trust more? Granny's old wives' tales that always have fractals of real truth in there when you dig into them, or Big Pharma. You know, I had terrible mastitis when I had Abigail. I could, if I was a cow, I would be a prize cow, in that I could milk. I had milk for days. You know, I could have fed a whole ward of babies. If they were still allowing milk donation, I would have been like a wet nurse. They could have just put me on one of those machines, and they would have had gallons, no doubt, of liquid gold. You know, so for all of my other faults, my mom said, you know, after it had Abigail, the first child, if you were a cow, you'd make us so much money, because you would be a prize dairy cow. And so, you know, creamy liquid gold, that's what I give, sweet as sugar. And so, yeah, I tasted it. And so I'm giving it to my baby. I want to know what it's like. So, and it was sweet. It was like sugar water. But yeah, and then I never actually, it's taken me years to lose my milk. I know if I started expressing now, that milk would come back. I'm a prize cow. I'm a really good meadow lady. Anyway, I had terrible mastitis when I had Abigail. I was so big. I was like, I mean, I had big boobs anyway. Theodore's been the one to sort of finally take those away. They're decent now, but you know, I've breastfed 3 babies, and had 4 babies, and so they aren't what they used to be. But anyway, when I had the babies, every time I was like, Dolly Parton would have been jealous and in awe. You know, I couldn't see my waist. They were like out here. Well, of course, you know how they swell in the first 3 days more than any other time. They were like, they felt like they were going to explode. I just had to literally lie with a towel, you know, because the milk was just there. Abigail being preemie, you know, couldn't take too much any one time. So I was just not even having to put the expressor on, the pump on. It was just put the bottle on and it'll drip its way in there. That's how full these boobies got. And so I'd been carrying things stupidly. I'd had a cesarean, hanging up clothes and stuff and putting a hanger under my arms. And so that is enough when your boobs are like that, really sore, to cause a blockage. And so, you know, I got quite poorly. It was terribly painful. It's basically like gallstones, but of the boobs. You know, you get these hard lumps that you've got to try and get out of these tiny little holes in your nipples. And at this point, you know, I've got nipples like Scania wheel nuts. It was ridiculous. So whoever needs to hear this story as well, you're welcome. But nothing was working. The doctor wanted to give me real strong antibiotics and whatnot. I didn't want to take those because, of course, Abigail was going to have the milk. And so what my mum did was she went and got cabbage leaves. And I looked at it and said, really? I didn't question it because it's not odd for me and my mum to do things like that. But she brought in 2 or 3 cabbages and she said, right, give me your boobs. And she packed my bra with the cabbage leaves and left them on. Now, it was warm. Abby was a preemie baby, so I had to keep the house real warm. I was walking around with a bikini, the triangles just covering the Scania wheel nuts with these cabbage leaves everywhere, because she didn't want any underwired or anything on there because that can cause it too. So whoever needs to hear that, if you're breastfeeding or you're having a baby, beware. Don't be put off by it. It's the most beautiful experience ever, breastfeeding. But I'm not going to lie to you, the first 3 days you've got to persist and it can be painful. And get somebody who's brave enough to latch that baby on for you, you know, because it's quite hard to get the right direction when you're just learning. And when the baby's just learning too. So, you know, my mom was really great at just swooping that baby's mouth right into position and locking and loading it in. And so, yeah, do that if you can. If not, don't worry. You tickle that baby's nose with your nipple, tickle that baby's cheek with your nipple, and it'll find its way. Anyway, these cabbage leaves, real hot in the house. I stunk. I really did stink. The relief, I mean, within hours, my breasts were just flowing. The enzymes in the cabbage leaves had broken down. The lumps, my temperature went down, and magic, done. And the next few days, while the swelling continued with these boobies getting bigger, you know, the cabbage leaves, absolute lifesaver. And so, you know, again, are you going to trust? But I've needed to tell that story to somebody who's about to breastfeed anyway. Get cabbages in. And again, nature gives you a hint. What does a cabbage leaf look like? It looks like a bra. If you put two together and some string on, it's a bra. It's a perfect shape for a substantial boobie. And so, yeah, I was telling you that because that's the old granny's tale, but it works. But I wouldn't be allowed to put that on the packaging. Well, I would, but I would have to really make it clear that it was just an old granny's tale. And so I'm trying to work my way around that. It's so ridiculous. It is so in your face obvious of what they have done to demonize and dilute the impact of holistic things, when really both should be working together. The science of big pharma that actually came from nature in the first place, you know, and nature should be complementing each other, should be working together. You know, there's many medications work far better when somebody's vitamin levels, mineral levels are correct. You uptake things better, you know. So, you know, the likes of iron, they're giving out iron, ferrous sulfate tablets. You can't really uptake it unless you've got enough vitamin C. You can't do it, so but your body can if you have enough vitamin C, and of course vitamin D. And so, yeah, I'm having to be real careful with that, and it's a real eye-opener. Actually, I knew I would have to be, but getting into it and learning about it, it's a real eye-opener. It really is. It's something that just needs to change. We've become so micromanaged, and we've allowed it to happen. I mean, we've just allowed it to happen. It's ridiculous. And so anyway, whoever needed to hear that about the boobies, you're welcome. Whoever didn't, I'm sorry. And take into account what I said earlier, because I didn't mean to go on that holistic rant, but somebody needed to hear those things about nuts and boobies. See, I covered both sides, nuts and boobies. It's the nuts and bolts of it, isn't it? So much love, balance, and wholeness. Please do share out this video. I'm not going to be shy, although I should say don't. But somebody might need to hear it. I'm not shy. No, share out the video. Do me a favor and share it out. Get those subscribers up for me, please. I much appreciate it. Thank you. And I'll be back on soon. Check out the tarot reading that I did earlier. That is for which is now today. The 12th of January 2022. Still not used to saying that. And, you know, check me out at truedivinemedia@gmail.com if you want a personal reading, spiritual coaching, or any energy bending sessions where I teach you how to bend that energy right through you into your auric field, being able to push it out, absorb it back in through that breath work, through that visionary inner quest. Anyway, if you want any of that, you can email me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. As I said, check out True Divine 44 on Facebook, the True Divine Instagram and Twitter, and True Divine 44 on Tumblr and BitChute. Now, much love, balance, and wholeness with all the nuts and bolts of it, boobies and balls. Mwah. So professional. I'm just sleeping.